She thought she married a simple man, until she learned his mansion belonged to the alpha vampire. The night Lyra married Kale was quiet, but it was the kind of quiet that felt alive. The wind moved slowly through the old village of Velmora, touching the wooden houses, the small shops, and the lonely streets like a ghost saying goodbye to something old and forgotten. Lyra stood in front of the small mirror in her room, wearing her simple white wedding dress. It was not made of expensive silk or royal fabric. It was made from soft village cotton, stitched carefully by her neighbor. She was not a princess. She was not rich. She was just a girl who wanted a new life. Outside, she could hear villagers talking. "She is making a mistake," one old woman said. "Rich men with big mansions always hide secrets," said another voice. Lyra heard them, but she did not feel angry. She felt tired. Loneliness was heavier than fear. Kale arrived at sunset. He was tall, quiet, and dressed in black clothes that looked too expensive for a simple man. His hair was dark and slightly messy, like he did not care much about royal fashion. But his eyes were what made people uncomfortable. They were deep and dark, like a night without stars. Yet when he looked at Lyra, his expression softened. "You are ready?" he asked. His voice was calm, deep, like a river flowing slowly through stone. Lyra nodded. "I am ready," she said, but her heart was beating very fast. Kale did not smile widely. He only offered his hand. She took it. His hand was cold but not uncomfortable. It felt like touching something that had lived for a very long time. They left the village on a black carriage. The road to Kale's home was long and silent. Trees stood on both sides of the road like guards watching them pass. Lyra tried to talk. "Where is your family?" she asked. Kale was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "They are far away." That answer felt heavy with hidden meaning. She decided not to ask more questions. Instead, she watched the night sky. The moon was large and pale, like an old silver coin forgotten by the gods. The mansion appeared at midnight. Lyra first thought it was a castle from an old myth. It stood on top of a cliff above the Black Sea. The waves below crashed against rocks with deep, angry sounds. The mansion was huge. Its towers were tall and thin, like fingers reaching toward the sky. Dark ivy plants covered the stone walls. Strange lights flickered in the windows. Not bright light, soft red light. Like dying candles, the iron gates opened by themselves when Kale placed his hand on them. Lyra felt a strange cold feeling move through her body. "Do you live here alone?" she asked. Kale paused before answering. "Yes," he said, "mostly." Inside the mansion, everything felt heavier. The air smelled like old roses mixed with rain water. The floor was made of dark marble that reflected their footsteps. Portraits hung on the walls. Old kings and queens stared down at them with cold, serious faces. Some wore silver crowns. Some wore dark ceremonial clothes. All of them had pale skin, like they had not seen sunlight in years. One portrait was covered with black cloth. Lyra noticed it immediately. "Why is that one hidden?" she asked. Kale did not answer immediately. He walked past it like he did not want to look at it. "Some memories should stay asleep," he said quietly. His voice sounded different when he said that. Less calm, more tired. He took her to their bedroom. The room was far too large for two people. The bed had dark red blankets like deep rose petals. The windows were made of dark crystal instead of normal glass. "Why are the windows like this?" Lyra asked. "So light can enter," Kale said, "but not too much." She did not understand. But she felt that this place was older than she was, older than the kingdom itself. That night, Kale stood near the window. He did not sleep. Lyra noticed something strange. There were faint marks on his neck, like old scars from bites that had healed but never fully disappeared. She wanted to ask about them, but she felt like asking might break something invisible between them. Instead, she said, "I am happy you married me." Kale turned slowly. His eyes looked softer. "I am glad you said yes," he said. There was sadness in his voice, but also something warm, something protective. Lyra fell asleep slowly, but she woke up later in the night, not because of a dream, because of footsteps outside their bedroom door, slow footsteps, measuring, patient. Like something powerful was walking through the halls of the mansion. Lyra sat up slowly. Her heart started beating fast. The hallway outside her door was dark, but she could see a faint red glow at the far end, like fire reflected in blood. She slowly opened the door a little. And then she saw him. A man stood at the end of the corridor. He was tall, much taller than Kale. He wore a black royal coat with silver embroidery. On his head was a crown made of black silver metal with sharp edges like thorns. His skin was pale, very pale. His eyes were red. Not normal red, deep crimson red like old wine or dried blood under moonlight. He turned slowly and smiled. "Lyra," he said softly. She felt cold fear move through her chest. She had never seen this man before. "How do you know my name?" she asked. His smile became deeper. "Because I have been waiting for you to return to me," he said. His voice was smooth, dangerous, like velvet hiding sharp glass underneath. Behind Lyra, Kale's voice came from the bedroom. "Do not go to him," Kale said. His voice was not calm anymore. It was filled with tension. Fear. Lyra turned around quickly. Kale was standing in the doorway, his body slightly tense like he was preparing for a battle. "Who is he?" Lyra asked. Kale walked closer to her. Then he spoke very quietly. "You are standing inside the mansion of the Alpha Vampire King's bloodline." Lyra felt her heart stop for a moment. Vampires were not myths in Velmora. They were real, but they lived far away from human villages. They were powerful rulers of dark territories. And alpha vampires were said to be the strongest, the most dangerous. The man in the hallway began walking toward them slowly. His footsteps echoed in the silent mansion. "I lost her once," he said. "I will not lose her again." Kale stepped in front of Lyra slightly like he was protecting her, but Lyra noticed something terrifying. Kale's hands were slightly shaking. The Vampire King stopped walking. Then he looked directly at Lyra. "Do you know why you feel connected to this place?" he asked. Lyra did not answer. "Because you were never meant to be a simple village girl," he continued softly. "You carry old blood, forgotten power, and you belong to this house." Lyra felt something strange inside her chest, like something inside her was waking up, something ancient. Something powerful, something she could not understand. Kale spoke again, his voice tight. "She is my wife now." The Vampire King's smile became sharper. "You are only a guardian," he said, "not her destiny." Then he looked directly at Lyra. "And you, my lost bride, will soon remember who you truly are." The red light in the hallway grew stronger. The wind outside the mansion windows began howling like it was trying to break inside. Lyra felt something inside her heart pull in two different directions. Toward Kale, warm, safe, and painful with hidden secrets. Toward the Vampire King, dangerous, powerful, and strangely familiar. The Vampire King reached toward the door. "I will come back for you," he said. Then he turned and disappeared into the darkness of the hallway. Lyra turned to Kale. "Tell me the truth," she whispered. Kale closed his eyes for a moment. Then he said something that made her heart feel cold. "You are not just my wife," he said slowly. "You are the key to ending a 1,000-year-old curse, or starting a war between two immortal bloodlines." Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and somewhere deep inside the mansion, something ancient began to wake up, something that wanted Lyra. Something that would not let her stay human forever. The morning after the Vampire King appeared was not peaceful. The sun rose slowly behind thick gray clouds, as if even the sky was afraid of what was happening inside the mansion. Lyra woke up feeling different. Not physically different, but emotionally. Her chest felt heavier, like something inside her was growing quietly, waiting for the right moment to wake up fully. She sat up on the large bed and looked around. The dark crystal windows allowed soft sunlight to enter, but the light felt weak, like it was fighting against the darkness of the mansion. Lyra remembered the night before. The red eyes, the crown of black silver, the words that the vampire king spoke. "You belong to this house." She touched her chest slowly. "No," she whispered to herself, "I belong to myself." But her voice sounded unsure. Kale was not in the room. Lyra stood up and walked slowly through the mansion halls. The house felt alive in the morning. The air smelled like rain and old roses. The portraits on the walls seemed less frightening during daylight, but their eyes still followed her movements. She stopped in front of the portrait covered with black cloth. Yesterday, Kale had avoided it. Today, curiosity was stronger than fear. Lyra slowly reached toward the black cloth. Her fingers touched the fabric. Suddenly, she heard footsteps behind her. "Do not touch that," Kale said. His voice was sharp but not angry, more like afraid. Lyra turned around. Kale looked tired. There were dark circles under his eyes like he had not slept. "Why?" she asked. Kale stayed quiet for a long time. Then he walked closer and gently lowered her hand. "That portrait belongs to my father," he said quietly. Lyra felt cold air move around her. "The Vampire King?" she asked. Kale nodded. "He is called Ravian," Kale said, "the Alpha Vampire King of the Northern Blood Territories." Kale led Lyra to the mansion balcony. From there she could see the Black Sea and the distant mountains covered in mist. "There are 3 vampire kingdoms in this world," Kale explained. His voice was calm but serious. "The Northern Kingdom is ruled by my father's bloodline. They believe vampires should rule secretly. The Eastern Kingdom wants peace with humans. And the Southern Kingdom wants war." Lyra listened carefully. "Which side are you on?" she asked. Kale did not answer immediately. Then he said, "I am on your side." His voice was quiet but emotional. Lyra felt something warm inside her chest when he said that. But she also felt confusion. "Why does he think I belong to him?" she asked. Kale looked at the sea. "Because of the curse," he said. Then he took a deep breath. 20 years ago, before you were born, there was a war between vampire bloodlines. The Vampire King wanted to create a queen who could control both human and vampire power. But something went wrong." Lyra felt nervous. "What happened?" Kale turned to look at her. "The chosen queen disappeared," he said, "and her bloodline was hidden inside human villages." Lyra felt her heart beat faster. "Are you saying I am that queen?" she asked softly. Kale did not confirm, but he did not deny it either. That afternoon, strange things began happening inside the mansion. Lyra noticed her senses becoming stronger. She could hear distant waves crashing against the cliff rocks. She could smell the rain before it started falling. She could feel emotions from people nearby like invisible whispers. It scared her and fascinated her at the same time. Later that evening, she found Kale inside the library. The library was huge. Books were arranged from floor to ceiling. Some books were very old with golden symbols on their covers. Kale was reading one of them. When he saw Lyra, he closed the book quickly. "What is that book?" she asked. Kale hesitated. Then he showed her the cover. The title was written in ancient language, but Lyra somehow understood it. "Blood and Destiny of the Last Queen." Her heart skipped a beat. "You should not read that," Kale said softly. "Not yet." "Why?" she asked. "Because you are still human in your heart," he said, "and this world will try to change you too quickly." His words felt protective, but also sad. That night Lyra could not sleep. She kept thinking about Kale's words, about the Vampire King, about destiny, about power. Around midnight, she heard soft footsteps outside her window balcony. She walked slowly toward the window and saw Ravian standing outside in the wind. He was not using the door. He stood on the edge of the balcony railing like gravity did not affect him. "Good evening, Lyra," he said calmly. She felt fear and anger at the same time. "How did you enter my home?" she asked. He smiled slightly. "This is my bloodline home," he said. "I can enter if I wish." Then he jumped down from the railing and stood in front of her. He was very tall. His presence felt heavy, like standing near a storm. "You are afraid of me," he said. "I should be," she replied. His smile became softer. "I do not want you to be afraid," he said. I want you to remember who you are." "I am Lyra," she said firmly. "Yes," he said, "but you are also the last descendant of the Moon Queen." Lyra felt dizziness. "What is that?" she asked. "The Moon Queen was the only queen who could control vampire and human magic together," Ravian said. "She was my promised bride." Lyra's anger suddenly rose. "I am married," she said. Ravian looked at her carefully. "Yes," he said, "to my son." Silence filled the room. Ravian walked slowly around her. "I did not come here to take you tonight," he said. "I came to warn you." "About what?" she asked. "Your powers will awaken soon," he said. "When they do, you will feel two souls inside your heart. One will want freedom, one will want power, and you will have to choose which world survives." His words felt heavy like stones falling inside her chest. At that moment, Kale suddenly appeared behind Ravian. His eyes were glowing red. "Leave," Kale said coldly. Ravian smiled. "You are afraid she will choose me," he said. "I am afraid she will be forced to choose at all," Kale replied. Their tension filled the air like thunder before a storm. Ravian turned to leave, but before leaving he spoke one last time to Lyra. "You will come to me willingly one day," he said softly, "because destiny is stronger than love." Then he disappeared into the dark night wind. Kale turned to Lyra immediately. "Did he hurt you?" he asked quickly. "No," she said, but she felt emotional conflict inside her heart. She saw fear in Kale's eyes, and she realized something shocking. Kale was not only protecting her, he was also afraid of losing her. "Tell me the truth," Lyra said. Kale stayed quiet. Then he said something painful. "If your powers awaken fully," he said, "you may not remain human. You may become the queen of vampires or their greatest enemy." Lyra felt tears in her eyes. "Then what about us?" she asked quietly. Kale did not answer, he just took her hand. And for a moment, they stood together in silence, holding onto each other like two people standing on the edge of a falling world. The night after the dreams was the night Lyra's destiny began to change. She woke up before sunrise. Her body felt warm, like soft fire was flowing inside her veins. Not painful, just strange. Her heart was beating slowly but strongly, like a distant drum calling her toward something unknown. She sat on the bed and looked at her hands. For a moment she thought she saw faint silver light moving under her skin. She quickly closed her fingers into fists. "No," she whispered, "I am still me." But deep inside she felt something else answering. Something old, something powerful, something that was not fully human. Kale was standing near the window when she turned around. He was already awake. He always seemed to wake up early, like sleep was something he did not need much. "You did not sleep well," he said quietly. "How do you know?" she asked. "I can hear your heartbeat when I am near you," he said. His voice was calm, but there was sadness hidden inside it. Lyra walked toward him slowly. "Kale," she said softly, "am I changing?" Kale did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked at her carefully. Then he said, "Yes." Slowly, like the moon changing the ocean tides. That morning, strange visitors arrived at the mansion. They were dressed in black and silver uniforms. Kale recognized them immediately. "They are royal messengers," he said quietly. "From who?" Lyra asked. "From the Vampire Council," Kale said. The Vampire Council was the political power that controlled vampire kingdoms. There were 7 council elders from different territories. They did not like sudden changes in royal bloodlines, especially when a lost queen suddenly returned. The leader of the messengers bowed slightly. "Prince Kale," he said, "the council requests the presence of your wife." Kale's body became tense. "For what reason?" he asked. "The awakening of Moon Queen bloodline must be tested," the messenger said. Lyra felt fear rise inside her chest. "What if I refuse?" she asked. The messenger looked at her calmly. "Then war may begin earlier than expected," he said. Silence filled the room. Kale did not want Lyra to go, but Lyra felt something inside her pushing her forward. Curiosity. Fear, destiny, all mixed together. "I will go," she said. Kale turned toward her immediately. "You do not have to prove anything to them," he said. "I want to know who I am," she replied softly. That answer made Kale close his eyes for a moment, like he was feeling emotional pain, but he did not stop her. They traveled to the vampire capital city that evening. The city was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Tall black towers rose toward the sky. Red glowing lanterns floated in the air like captured stars. Vampires walked through streets wearing royal clothing. Some looked at Lyra with curiosity, some with suspicion, some with quiet respect. The council hall was built inside a mountain cave covered with glowing crystals. 7 elders sat on silver thrones. Ravian was among them. His red eyes watched Lyra carefully. "Welcome, lost queen," one elder said. Lyra did not bow, she stood straight. "We will test your bloodline power," another elder said. "How?" Lyra asked. "By awakening your magic through emotional pressure," the elder said. Kale stepped forward. "You cannot force her," he said coldly. Ravian spoke calmly. "She must pass the test or the kingdoms will not accept her." Kale looked at Lyra. She nodded slightly. "I can do this," she said, but inside she was scared. They placed her inside a circular stone chamber. The door closed behind her. The room became dark. Then voices began whispering around her. They were not real voices. They were memories, painful memories, loneliness, fear, abandonment. "You were never wanted," one whisper said. "You are only power, not love," another said. Lyra started breathing faster. Her chest felt tight. She closed her eyes. "No," she whispered, "I am more than that." Then she remembered Kale's words. "I am on your side." She remembered village life, simple happiness, quiet dreams. She imagined sunlight touching her skin. She imagined freedom. And suddenly, silver light exploded from her body, soft, beautiful, like moonlight breaking through dark clouds. The council members stood up immediately. "She has awakened," one elder said. "She controls Moon Queen magic," another said. Lyra walked out of the chamber slowly. Her eyes were glowing faint silver. Everyone watched her in silence. Ravian smiled proudly. Kale looked shocked but relieved. But then something unexpected happened. The mountain cave started shaking. Dark magic energy appeared from outside the city. War signals. Enemy kingdoms were attacking. "The Southern Kingdom has declared war," a guard shouted. Panic filled the hall. The council elders argued loudly, but Ravian stood up calmly. "The war started earlier than expected," he said. Then he looked directly at Lyra. "Choose," he said. "Stand with humans," he said, "or stand with vampires." Lyra felt her heart break inside. She looked at Kale. Kale's eyes were filled with silent fear. Then she looked at Ravian. His expression was calm but powerful. "I do not want war," Lyra said loudly. "But if war comes," she continued, "I will fight to protect innocent people." Silence filled the hall. Even the elders were surprised. Ravian smiled slowly. "You are stronger than I expected," he said. Then he whispered something only Lyra could hear. "You will choose blood over love one day." Those words hurt her deeply. They returned to the mansion late at night. Kale was quiet during the journey. When they reached the bedroom, Lyra finally spoke. "Are you angry?" she asked. Kale shook his head. "No," he said, "I am afraid." That surprised her. "Afraid of what?" she asked. "Afraid that destiny will take you away from me," Kale said softly. Lyra walked toward him. She touched his face gently. "I do not want to be someone's weapon," she said. "I want to be someone who chooses her own path." Kale closed his eyes. "I know," he said, but he did not sound completely convinced. That night Lyra felt her powers growing stronger. She could feel distant emotions from across the sea. Fear, anger, war preparation. And then she heard Ravian's voice inside her mind. "You will return to me," he whispered in her thoughts, "because the moon always returns to the night sky." Lyra opened her eyes in fear and realized something terrifying. Her powers were not only awakening. They were starting to connect her mind to vampire magic networks across kingdoms. She was becoming something greater, something more dangerous, something harder to control. The war did not begin with swords. It began with silence. Then slowly, with whispers of fear spreading across kingdoms like dark smoke. 3 days after Lyra's power awakening, news of the war reached every village near Velmora. The southern vampire kingdom had declared full war against the northern blood territories. Humans were caught in the middle. Farmers stopped working in fields. Merchants closed their shops early. Children stayed inside their homes, listening to distant thunder that was not only from storms, but from magic weapons being tested far away. Lyra stood on the balcony of the mansion, watching the Black Sea move slowly like sleeping darkness. She felt stronger than before. Her powers were growing every day. She could feel emotions from far distances now. Fear, pain, anger, hope. But she also felt something darker growing inside her heart. Power wanted control, and control wanted sacrifice. Kale joined her silently. "You should not stand near the edge," he said. "Why?" she asked. "If your powers react to strong emotions, you might accidentally use magic without realizing it." Lyra turned to look at him. "You are still hiding something from me," she said softly. Kale stayed quiet. The wind moved his dark hair slightly. Finally, he spoke. "Yes," he said. "I am." That answer hurt Lyra more than she expected. That night, Kale finally told her the truth. They sat together inside the library. Firelight from old candles made shadows move slowly on the walls. "I was never meant to marry you," Kale said. Lyra stayed quiet. "You were meant to marry my father," Kale continued. "Ravian, the Alpha Vampire King. When I was younger," Kale said, "the Council wanted to control Moon Queen bloodline power. They decided that the Queen must be protected inside vampire royal bloodlines. But I did not agree." He looked at her. "I saw you once when you were a child," he said. "You were living in a small village with your adoptive family. You were smiling while feeding birds near a river. I knew then that I would not let you become a weapon." Lyra felt tears in her eyes. "So you married me to protect me?" she asked. "Yes," Kale said quietly, "and also because I love you." The words felt heavy and emotional, but Lyra felt pain too, because love built on secrets always carried fear. Suddenly, alarms sounded across the mansion. War signals. Kale stood up immediately. "They are here," he said. Outside the mansion, the sky was filled with dark flying creatures, vampire warriors from the southern kingdom. Their leader stood at the front. A woman wearing dark crimson armor, she spoke loudly. "We demand the Moon Queen descendant." Kale grabbed his sword. "You stay inside," he told Lyra, but Lyra shook her head. "No," she said. "This is my fight too." She walked outside onto the mansion grounds. Her silver moonlight magic started glowing softly around her body. The enemy leader laughed. "So the queen is real," she said. "I am Queen Selvaris," she continued, "and I want your power for my kingdom." Lyra shook her head. "I do not belong to any kingdom," she said. "That is where you are wrong," Selvaris said. "Power never belongs to freedom. Power always belongs to someone who can control it." The battle began suddenly. Vampire warriors attacked. Kale fought fiercely to protect Lyra. His sword movements were fast and precise. But he was fighting many enemies alone. Lyra closed her eyes. She remembered happiness, peace, love. Then she opened her eyes. Silver moonlight exploded around her like a protective storm. Enemy warriors were pushed backward by pure magical energy, not violent, but powerful enough to protect the mansion grounds. Queen Selvaris looked surprised. "She is stronger than predicted," she said. Then she attacked directly. Dark fire magic flew toward Lyra. Lyra raised her hands instinctively. Silver moonlight magic formed a shield. The two powers collided. Wind exploded across the battlefield. Kale suddenly felt something terrible. He turned toward the mansion roof. Ravian was standing there, watching the battle silently. Kale ran toward him. "Stop this war," Kale said. Ravian shook his head slowly. "This war was always coming," he said. "You cannot stop destiny." Kale became angry. "Destiny is just an excuse for controlling people." Ravian smiled slightly. "You are still young," he said. Then he said something shocking. "You will not survive this war." Meanwhile, Lyra and Selvaris were still fighting, but Lyra did not want to kill anyone. She focused on protection magic, not destruction. This confused Selvaris. "You are weak," Selvaris said. "No," Lyra replied. "I just choose differently." Suddenly, Lyra felt a sharp pain in her chest. Her powers reacted to emotional stress. Her silver magic started turning darker, like moonlight turning into storm clouds. Inside her mind, she heard Ravian's voice again. "Choose power," he whispered. "Or choose love and lose everything." Kale ran toward Lyra, but a dark magical explosion happened between them. He was pushed backward violently. Lyra screamed his name. "Kale!" She felt something inside her break. Then something else awakened completely. Her eyes glowed bright silver, not soft moonlight, but burning moon fire. She raised her hands and spoke ancient words she did not even know she remembered. Light exploded across the battlefield. Enemy warriors were pushed away without being hurt. Selvaris retreated. "She is too dangerous," she said. Then she ordered her army to retreat. The war battle was temporarily stopped, but peace did not return. Later that night, Kale was injured slightly but alive. Lyra sat beside his bed. "I almost lost you," she said quietly. Kale held her hand. "You did not lose me," he said, "but I am afraid I will lose you." Lyra cried softly. "I do not want to be a queen of war," she said. Kale hugged her gently. "Then be a queen of balance," he said, "a queen who protects both worlds." But that night Ravian appeared again in Lyra's dreams. He was standing inside a dark moon palace. "You have grown stronger," he said, "but strength alone will not save Kale. Because there is a curse inside him too." Lyra felt fear. "What curse?" she asked. Ravian smiled. "The curse that will force him to betray you to save himself." Lyra woke up suddenly and realized something horrifying. Kale was not beside her in bed. She heard footsteps outside. She walked toward the balcony and saw Kale standing there under moonlight. But his eyes were glowing dark red again, like something inside him was waking up, something he could no longer control. Kale turned slowly and said softly, "The curse is starting."